Yeah,
Hello,
maybe
everybody. Welcome to another month of Bouncyrock's bi-monthly banter. Here with me today, I've got Jonny and Chris. Jason will be showing up in a bit. When he does, I'll be switching up all of the interface to make sure he's up on screen for all you folks. Reminder, you can submit any questions during the stream with exclamation point Q, and that'll get stacked up by our question bot, which will let you know, and then we can get answering those later. But for now, I will hand it over to the team for all of your regular updates and information.
wonderful. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, hello everyone. It's been a while. I think I just wanted to start off by uh, making a small, like I guess it's a small announcement that both Hannah and I are now back full time, like proper full time employees after like almost 2 years of various degrees of like parental leave and things like that. So it's been an exciting couple of weeks where just like getting a feel for just like what working full time feels like again, and also planning what's happening going forward, which is exciting. Just wanted to also touch on some of the things that's been released since last time. We released the Interstellar Acid Set and the Double Doors, the Lost Garden, and the Solar Arrays, which we was that yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. I think it was
I think
actually
it was
yesterday
yesterday.
that we released that. We also released the visual limiting, and which we is a while ago now, but it's still within that time. And personally, I've been now getting caught up on business stuff again. I just making sure I'm getting back to people. I've been working on actually implementing the font that we talked about on a previous Banter, because we have a version of that now. I'm replacing everything in the game to feature that font, which is also going to. I'm frozen again.
Yes, you are.
Sorry, everyone. Let me just fix that real quick. There we go. And as I was saying, the font, replacing everything in game with a new font, so that things like translations and things can happen, hopefully sooner rather than later. And I've been resurrecting old branches that I've been working on in the past, such as the status effect and also some quality of life things like dropping creatures from characters and actually being able to see which, on a glance, which creatures are controlled by players and things like that. Those are the things that I can come up with at the top of my head, at least. Um, I don't have much to show this time around, but I'm going to put it over to Chris to talk a little bit about the stuff that he's got.
Yeah. Again, a lot of words as well, and not a lot of pictures, but a little bit. So we'll get to those. Let's see. I got my little cheat notes so I don't forget anything. But yeah. So Alex and I have been working away on the particle system that's very much based on tooling kind of stuff. So we've been getting more things done with the compiler. So we're producing. So for those who don't know, the idea is that we want a particle system that's like GPU accelerated for the game, so we could do lots of nice things. The obvious question: wouldn't Unity have one of those? And they had an older system that we can use, which isn't GPU accelerated, and they have a new system which doesn't work on the versions that we're currently shipping on. And moving up will be a heck of a task, so we're leaving that for now. And either way, we needed this thing, so it's based on some of our experiences. Making something custom is turning out to be a good idea. A lot of the work's been on tooling. So the idea is the artist can put together a graph of what needs to happen, a kind of node graph. If you've seen blueprints in Unreal, you'll be familiar with that kind of idea. And then we compile it down to a variety of compute shaders that run on the GPU. And we do all the plumbing behind the scenes to make sure that in the editor, you can just drag around values and drop textures on things, and it just kind of works. So that's going along well. But there is a sea of little details that you just want, like, you just find yourself after a while going, okay, it'd be nice if, like, when you're wiring things up, the hitboxes are slightly bigger and all that kind of stuff. Just nicety things. So there's been a lot of working on that, adding nodes for user-defined functions, all that kind of jazz. All the art so far is programmer art, so I haven't got anything to show there. I was going to be doing, Jonny and I were going to do a little hackathon this week on particles, but there was illness going around. So I got to not do that, unfortunately. But I got to have a look at dice. And replacing the dice sync has been on our list for a long time. We're still using Photon, which is the middleware layer that we use to send our real-time traffic. But the way we were doing dice before was kind of basic. I'm trying to think of how to explain this without going into the nitty-gritty. Basically, we're doing things in an efficient way. The library is really good that they have, is really good for getting things going very quickly. But when we're throwing around hundreds and hundreds of dice, and they're meant to be coordinated together as rolls, there were things we were doing which would occasionally cause crashes. I'm sure a bunch of you have had that when you tried to clear all dice and the game has just died on you, which is awful. That should definitely be fixed in this release. So this week I've rewritten the sync, and that is in, which I'm really happy about. It's working. We've got to go through some play testing and then no doubt a little bit of bug fixing. I've got a couple of things on my list of like nice little tweaks to do, and then it'll be ready for a beta. So I would, again, I don't like doing dates, but I'm going to try it anyway. I would be surprised if you don't see a beta for this in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's on particles and dice. Let's have a look to see if there's anything else I'm missing before we jump to the interesting bit. And then what Chair and I have been working on is the tag search stuff. So we wanted for a long time a new tagging system, which we've been working on that for ages. We've all the creatures have been retagged in game, but we also wanted to expand a few things. We wanted search to be real time, so as you typed, you could see the results, so you could really refine back and forwards. We wanted tags as before, but we also have synonyms now, so we can search for things in the rough area of what you're searching for, which will direct you then to the actual tags. And lastly, was there a lastly? Maybe I've covered everything. Let's just have a look at it. So let me bring up my notes over here, and then I've got a couple little videos that Chair left us before he went on leave, and I will try and go through them. 2 seconds. All right. Okay, so this first one, there's going to be a bit of jiggling around because just before stream, VLC started going weird on me. So if this doesn't work, we're just going to have to fight it a bit. All right. So, okay, and we should have this. Nope, that is doing nothing. I do love it when a plan falls apart. Okay, search synonyms. Okay. So here we are showing that we can suggest several tags over here. And the ones with the little arrows currently, those are synonyms. So as it's typing, you hover over them and it will tell you the tag it's actually referring to. And then you can build up a small army of tags here, and obviously the search is happening in real time. So I'm going to keep playing this as clunky as it is. So we're searching for tags, we're searching for synonyms. Oh, that was the other thing. We're also searching for the free text of the names. By searching for the names of the creatures, if you've named your creatures, the ones you've been making, they will also be included properly in the search. And everything's just as fast, so that's good. In fact, we're going to make it even slightly faster than this, but it's shaving off fractions of a millisecond at that point. Right, let's just do it new each time. Next one is search custom minis, just to prove that we are indeed searching custom minis. Here's one from the repository. So just going through, proving that they're there, and then searching for one of those, and you can see the Arctic cat, Arctic fox. I should have checked. But yeah, we're able to auto-complete those now as well, which is grand. Let's see. Oh, of course, this also works across Hero Forge. Again, we're just going to show that does. And as well as Hero Forge, other third-party providers, which will be coming along in the future. And one thing we didn't have exactly before, well, we had some version of this. We do fuzzy matching, so we can, even if you've got a typo, we can usually find the thing in the area that you're looking for. We'll then be moving on from here. That's me sorted, actually, Panda. Thank you. we'll be moving on to look at tiles and prop tagging, and that will be a whole different beast. It will be using the same search engine. It'll be using the same kind of all the infrastructure we've built, but we're going to look at it fresh. So we're not going to necessarily tag it in the same way we've tagged creatures. So we'll be able to talk about that more in future. But before we dive into, I think we're going to get back to symbiotes and do some stuff on the API there, because that's been long. It's been a long time and we've been itching to do it. And I know I've seen questions come in already to do with that. So yeah, I think that's me for now. Oh no, not at all. 1 second. Yeah, Pavel, this one will be really exciting for a bunch of people. So server developments. The server we're currently running on, I made, and it's my first one. So it's done all right, but there's plenty of things where it needed improvement and plenty of ways it was resisting us kind of expanding. So for the last year or so, but like Pavel's been grinding away on like improving our infrastructure, and now he's really getting down to attack our server itself. He's been taking over the code base there for a long time now, and he is starting a full rewrite of basically the whole thing, which is fantastic. In amongst that, because it would be like it's such a big task to do, he's looking at how you will host your own dedicated servers. So he is actively at the moment looking at how to produce builds that you would be able to run on your own dedicated boxes to be able to host the game, to make sure that if anything happened to us, which I can tell you right now, there's no indicators we're going anywhere, but if it did, the game will be able to live on beyond us, which is fantastic. There's a promise we made at the beginning. We were hoping originally, we were thinking originally it might be a peer-to-peer thing. We looked into that more heavily, and peer-to-peer is a challenge on certain conditions. You just can't do it. So we are making sure that we're making sure we can provide something that will definitely work. So whether you host that locally or so you just run it like on a LAN, say if you're doing a convention or something like that, or if you're going to get to your own dedicated server and run it in the cloud, both of those are things we're considering and are being actively worked on. So big shout out to Pavel for that. And then I think I can hand over.
Wonderful. So I was thinking about maybe Jason, would you like to say some stuff about like assets coming up?
Sure. So at the moment since the last bi-monthly banter, we released a couple of packs. We did the Bush pack and we did the Satellite pack, which just came out yesterday, which is awesome. And we have also been working on some Kickstarter backer rewards. That the last one was the what was it? The Bellow Gloom. I wanted to say Underdark, but it's Bellow Gloom. And this one is going to be more along the lines of like a false Hydra campaign. So if for anybody who doesn't know what the false Hydra is, it's basically this creature that comes and moves into a village, and so it moves into a village, kills people, and I don't know, does this thing where it's like it wipes all memory of them. And so what happens is it burrows under like the village itself, and then parts of the village become dilapidated over time. So we've been working on some new tile sets. We have one that's a burrow. So you have like a underground burrow kind of tile set that could serve, well, obviously in this instance, it's going to serve the false Hydra, but you could be doing Umbra Hulks, you could be doing Ankegs, you could be doing bullets or bullets, I don't know whatever the fuck they're called. Mini purple worms. I know this. And up above, we have these vertical boards that are kind of more slated for like barns and old villages and things like that. Just something to kind of differentiate itself from the current rural set. And the floor tiles that you're seeing now are temporary. Those are from the rural set. So you're just seeing a work in progress right now. This is what we've made so far. There is just, the base tiles for these things. We don't even have props. We don't have... Hannah's actually working on a new roof. which
Yeah.
is going to be, and it's looking great so far. And it's going to be more along the line. It's going to be along the lines of the current tavern roof, but again, dilapidated. So you're going to have it's going to be kind of desaturated, more worn out, and it's looking great. She's doing a great job on that. And so look for this pack. I'm really hoping to get it out before Halloween. The goal right now, which is ambitious, is the 24th. And so, I'm not saying that that's what we're shooting for. Whether or not we hit that, I don't know. We'll have to see. There's still a lot of work left to do on this thing. I'm shooting for that, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's kind of like what we're doing right now, is trying to shore up this pack. We have a lot of props to make. We have more miniatures. Obviously, we have the false Hydra itself, and some others. So yeah, like I said, that timeline is ambitious. So we'll see what happens. If it's not out before Halloween, it's going to be out around Halloween. If it's a little after, that's fine too. The false Hydra doesn't care what holiday it is. It's going to eat you up regardless, do its thing. So that's that. Yeah, that's about it for the art right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty exciting. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I should say also with Hannah back full time now as well, we're starting to pick up a lot of the pieces that were sort of left behind from later. So once this set is out, then you'll also see some of the other sets that we've been talking about in the past be picked up again. So that's going to be exciting as well. Wonderful. Okay. I'm just going to check my notes to see if there was anything else that I wanted to mention before we go to questions. But I don't think there is. So yeah, maybe we should just fire away on questions, unless there's anything else that needs to be addressed. Looks good.
All right, let's dive into it. Our first question comes from Maybe Me 1990, who says, someone on Reddit asked if there was a way to make measurements hidden so they could plan out moves while waiting for their turn in combat. I don't believe that's a feature, but has anyone suggested anything like that?
I'm not sure if it's been suggested, but it seems like a reasonable request. Trying to think. Yeah, as in, I would definitely put in a feature request for it.
Yeah.
Is what I could think. I'm trying to think why we didn't have that. But yeah, I guess it was just not something that came to mind at the time, and therefore we haven't added it. But yeah, sounds like a great suggestion. So if you can make a request for it or see if there is, and then load it up, that would be amazing.
Okay. Our next is from Monophos, who asks, would there be any plans to lock in groups after select multiple minis and have them stay locked until disabled? It would be awesome to have stat effect tokens to remain on a mini, or to keep a mini inside of an ooze monster without having to reselect an area again.
So basically the question is if we can have selected groups of miniatures basically stay selected, so that when you pick one up, you move the others as well.
Yeah, lock them together.
So it sounds again like a type of feature request that could be added. I'm trying to think how it would be visualized, but I could see why people would want it. Technically, I'm not sure. That might be one for you, Chris.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I would have to have a think about that one. I'd have to revisit some of the group movement feature requests we've had before, because I know we've talked in the past about some kind of intersecting requirements from folks who are doing kind of wargaming kind of stuff as well. So I would, before saying yay or nay, it doesn't sound insane, but I would like to review.
Okay.
But yeah, put in a feature request for sure.
Bruno LP asks, is there a noob-friendly system planned that would allow players to create character sheets in-game by moving around boxes and assigning them text or dice rolls, and all of that being saved onto the miniatures for those who have no programming skills with symbiotes?
Yeah, so I don't think we have like that necessarily planned. I'm not fully grasping the question. Let's see, allow players to create character sheets in game. So there are plans for like a rule system, but which wouldn't sort of utilize, most likely at least, wouldn't utilize like JavaScript or anything like that, but would still maybe require some technical knowledge. Once again, I'm gonna defer to Chris maybe about the technicality of that.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll be doing anything like in the middle of that, before that, or like sort of.
No, like we are wanting to have. So yeah, there is the idea of the rule system. And we've talked in the past about things that would normally be in a character sheet. We don't necessarily want to implement it to look like a character sheet, because the character sheet works well on paper. But we definitely have ideas for what we would do in game for UI there. And so yes, so as a kind of like building a designer inside the game, I wouldn't think so. The rule system shouldn't require like the level of scripting, like you to be a programmer, but it will require you to kind of define different kinds of stats and things like this that are available, and some rules to go along with those.
Yeah.
All right. JA07SJ asks, are there any plans for allowing the Symbiote's API to trigger things like camera movement or environmental blocks?
We are... I'm trying to remember. I don't think we've got an explicit thing for like moving the camera. I wouldn't want the camera position directly to be like driven by JavaScript, because then if the browser side stuff goes slow, or maybe it's minimized, then that motion's going to get jerky. So I would much rather it be something where you're like saying, hey, the camera goes this way, like you give it a route or a path or something like that, if we were going to do a direct control thing. But also how would it then go back to the camera control of the player? Because that would be a very different kind of movement. So I'm not sure on that one. Triggering things, yeah, we want to do board interaction stuff. I'm being kind of like loosey-goosey on this stuff, because I know that like basically Chair and I want to go through all of the requests and get our own ideas and design what is going to be like V2 of the API, so we can hit like a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, modifications to state, especially of like players and potentially things on the board, is players definitely. Things on the board, I've got to... There's so many good answers of how to do that, but they come with their own problems. And so while I know we'll find a solution, it might not even be that hard, it will need thinking about for a while. So that's why I'm kind of keeping things open with that. But yeah, sounds good.
It sounds like a lot of fun stuff that can be done there. So I guess the thing that we're trying to limit for is just to make sure that the experience, first of all, of doing these things isn't terrible, but also that it's not being used in a way that's just making the game slow and the server slow and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but so many cool things that could be done with that. So that's exciting.
All right. Jason Blob asks, is it possible we could add the movement ruler to build mode when moving tiles or cutting a slab? Recently had need of this, and measuring only available outside of build mode was a bit of a hassle for me.
I mean, it sounds like that could be a thing. Yeah, that sounds like a thing.
Yeah.
I would definitely I would definitely add a feature request for that one. That's something I didn't think about, but yes, I can see that being useful when especially like placing props and things like that. That's okay. You might care about the distance, like the exact distance between these things. Good point. yes, please make a feature request for it. It's a shame that that's sort of where a lot of these things go, and that it requires a bit of like upvoting for us to see it. But yeah, also post it in Discord and stuff like that, because it's something to keep in the back of the head for sure.
Okay. JAO7SJ asks, for the new particle system, could map makers potentially use these for things like smoke/steam props?
To be decided. I mean, like in theory, like you could do anything, but that's not what we're going to be exposing, that level of control. Just like in general, we tend to keep things chunky and yeah, a little abstracted. So to start with, it will be the kind of thing that is added directly to like to props and tiles and things, I think, in the building process. And so like when you place a tile, it will have like a smoke emitter on it already. And then also for visual effects that are like standalone, so you can have a palette of like lightning. But yeah, I'm sure that query will come up just in the same way as it does for lights. So
yeah, it's also possible that the thing you mentioned with props might also cover this in the sense of like, oh yeah, you'll get us some of that stuff potentially.
Yeah, with the modding, someone's just going to put an emitter on a thing. And
yeah, which yes, there's situations like that already out there. But yeah, to make it nice and performant, and there's some considerations there. But yes, those would be cool things.
Okay. JO7SJ asks, when tagging happens, will we see a reorganization of the current prop/tile categories? While I love getting new tile sets, some of them, like temple ruins, have a pretty limited amount of pieces and feel like they could be sorted into other categories.
Maybe not with the tagging stuff, but I know there's been talk about potentially sort of reorganizing some of those things. But I don't think, so not, I don't know. That's a good question. Yes, okay, so I should actually elaborate a little bit on that, in the sense that the way that we do sorting at the moment is basically we try to find folders to put them in. A lot of times that's incredibly difficult. And it could make sense with the tagging stuff that we maybe move away from how we've organized it in the past to something a little bit more fluid, so that we can maybe even make our own categories or something like that. But so yeah, maybe I guess is the answer to that, because the tile, at least the prop and tile tagging will be coming up at some point, and then I know I've spoken to Chair about this, so it might also be something that he's been thinking about. So I'll leave it at that. I think I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, we're also going to be looking into expanding tile sets in the future. So the ruin, the jungle, the ruin tile, the ruin temple could be one that we may expand upon. Yeah, before 1.0, we're going to have it figured out. But it is a good question. It is, and it's not something that we're entirely happy with anyways right now. Like Jonny said, sometimes it's difficult to find a place for these things to live. And what is is the question, or is the answer just to stuff it away somewhere, or is it, hey, this actually needs to be expanded? And yeah, what little offerings it has could probably be, so we are going to go through kind of like an expansion mode to just expand like the tile sets and kind of get them, in parity with each other. So after that happens, before 1.0, we'll have it figured out. Yeah. Good question.
Part of the puzzle might turn up in a different place as well, because obviously with the amount of community content, having just one folder for that sucks. So that needs looking at. Search will make it a little more bearable, but only for a while. So yeah, that's an open question still.
All right. Amin Arthas asks, is it possible we could see tag favoriting? as in saving specific tags to a list that you can quickly research them while building/playing with specific tiles and figures.
I mean, it sounds like a good idea. It also sounds like maybe it sort of feeds into a little bit of the previous answer about like categorizing things and making all of that more fluid. I'm not sure if there's like a quick road to this specifically. I'm not sure if it's something that Louis might have been talking about. Jared, that is.
Favoriting? No. Actually, the thing for me would be more on the UX side of just like, how would we we'd want to be able to find tags and then mark them somehow and then review those somewhere else. So it'd be some new UI for sure.
Love it when the devs start thinking
Yeah,
midstream.
you're gonna get into a design meeting and okay.
It means you've asked a good question.
Yeah.
All right. Tretchbolt asks, any news yet on new music, sounds, or something that will allow for locally played music and sounds? Sound effect boards would be great, etc.
Yeah, I mean, always planned on new music. I'm always wanting to do music. It's just tiles and things take precedent over that. Once we have a nice fleshed out offering of tiles and miniatures, I'm not really too worried about. You guys are insane with the modding and the modding scene. And once tiles and props are modding, but like for now, a new official music will be coming eventually. I definitely want to do that. As far as the sound effect boards and things like that, that's something I think, obviously, Chris and I have been talking about that for a while, but Chair is also one. Like we're all kind of chomping at the bit on that one with the sound effect boards and how we're going to handle, like how we're going to handle music and sound effects and things like that, and how that's going to grow. Yeah, man, that's a conversation that we want to have. There is just in the future, it will happen. It will be great.
One of the roads to there will be, because we're looking at the inventory system, and so when you have the ability to have larger inventories where you can move things in, and we add sound effects down into the library, so you can then drag those into inventories and trigger them from places for kind of one-shot stuff. Got to think about how that's gonna like be with like, because like visual one-shot effects are often going to come with a sound effect. So yeah, like how that all flows together, I'm not sure, but there's definitely roots there that will come together.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hollow Fox asks, any update on when we're getting tiles and props for Tailweaver?
No update. Yeah, tagging and like there are some other areas where we really need to give some love, like symbiotes and stuff like this, before we go to that. But we want it to.
Yeah, I also like to like just reiterate on like there's a big sort of thing that needs to happen there, which is something that Chris and I have been talking about for a long time, which is a slight refactoring of how the data works for tiles in general, which is going to be like a catalyst for doing some building related tools that I've really been wanting to do, but also nail down what the data actually looks like for those things, so that we can actually release it to modders and not have it change in the future.
Yeah.
And it's I'm itching to do that stuff, but it is a big one. So some time needs to be freed up.
All right. Tretchbolt asks, will there be a point we can create our own tiles? Pretty much leading from the same answer there.
It's on the roadmap.
Yep.
The Murrian Settler asks, yay for rumors of a new roof. Any chance we will see more variations in slant, pitch, slope of roofs? The Shogun set had slanted walls and some varied roof slants, and they are so good for more interesting builds.
Yeah, the rumored roof is going to be like a standard tavern type of thing.
Yeah.
The Shogun set, because I wanted to have like an additional curvature. Yeah, it has a lot of different slants to it, and that's great. And that's something I think we can at least keep in mind. It's this balance between like making a lot of variations in tiles and actually being able to really release these sets. And so the question is, would we do more variations of slants on the single set? Because I could imagine, yeah, you could get like houses that had like different, and that would be cool, which the Shogun set obviously had. Or should we just make some roofs that like have different slats? They would obviously have to adhere to one of the variants on the Shogun set. So,
Right. Yeah. Probably is going to depend on the architectural theme. So, like with the Shogun, that has that certain look, and obviously, and like if we were doing
Yeah.
like a Gothic revival house, something like the
Mhm.
Haunted Mansion, it would have those types of roofs where, very different from, your traditional tavern roof that's in Tailspire right now. But it
Yes.
would be, different geometry and things like that, which would, different slopes, slants, pitches, those kinds of things. So.
Yeah.
Probably just depends on like this architectural theme.
Yeah, adding a variant on something take an unfortunate amount of time when it's like a physical variant like that, unfortunately. So I felt like I needed to do it for the Shogun, but it did take a bit to do. And I don't know when I'm going to do a tile set next. Although Jason did mention one of the sets that I would love to be at least a part of. In the one of those like a mansion type things.
Yeah, the Haunted
That would be
Mansion.
cool.
Yeah.
Haunted mansion thing. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Go back to the early Neverwinter Nights modules.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah. Having said that, though, yeah, Jason also mentioned expanding tiles in the future, and like if that could be a topic for that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we fill in sets and think that okay, maybe these roofs should have some extensions to them.
Yeah. It'd be a good time to look into that for sure.
Yeah. So that's cool.
All right. Hollow Fox asks, could we get the ability to have rulers locked to a center of a mini? It'd be nice to accurately measure the exact distance between the mini's center of base to center of base.
That sounds like a reasonable request for sure.
Is that, well, I guess we'll see in the feature request. Is that locking, as in like how when we move around the movement ruler, it goes from there, or is it like snapping so you can easily lock onto the center?
Yeah, I immediately went to snapping, so I might
Yeah.
be wrong there, but yeah, snapping at least seems like it would be
Definitely.
like not too difficult to do.
No.
But yeah, I'd need a feature request to sort of remember that. But that's
Snap to center, says Hollow Fox. Nice.
Yeah, snap to center. Yeah, perfect. It seems like it's a doable thing for sure.
All right. Tretchbolt asks, when the symbiotes are worked on, are there any plans to allow for floating windows or finding a way to resize that sidebar? Move it around, left, right, top, bottom, etc.
No. Definitely no.
Yeah, the reason why it's that is there's multiple like what we envisioned it to be first of all, but also how complicated that stuff ended up being, as far as resizing and stuff like that goes. But yeah, so unfortunately, that's not something we're looking at.
Yeah, it's nice to have a kind of specific target to work for that's uniform across, and also one of the things we have, as soon as you start moving that content out into the kind of play space, just the frame rate and fidelity differences become more painful, and having that floating around, it's just not what we're after, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, I also remember like this. Yeah, what you said there about designing for a specific size was something that we ended up finding to be a benefit. Yeah.
All right. JA07SJ asks, I know Mega Sector got scrapped or postponed in development, but have there been any other tile sets that are still being planned for Tailspire early access, aside from the announced Sunken Hydra stuff that's coming soon?
Yeah. The mega sector will happen. I had to kind of ease off the gas there, and I wanted to bring in Hannah because she's also it's like she like she has a that's like kind of her forte is like she's super into aliens and sci-fi stuff, and this was happening while she was on leave, and I was trying to create it, and I wasn't necessarily so that's happening. Mega sector will happen, and as far as other sets, absolutely. Before 1.0, I definitely want to sneak in a dwarf fortress, like a dwarven fortress kind of tile set. I'd like that, and we have some other ones. I think we have almost like kind of like a Rivendell elven kind of thing that we'd like to develop. And at the end of the day, we're going to keep working on art releases until we're feature ready. So so I mean, however long that takes, we're going to keep pumping out art. So yeah. And the thing is man, we have so much we want to do outside of even just sci-fi and fantasy. You have things like Call of Cthulhu, that would be a completely new universe for us to to look into. So I mean, there's so many there's so many different releases that we want to make, and we're going to keep doing that until 1.0, and so look forward to more. There's going to be plenty more.
All right. Xmikawa X asks, any news in regard to status effect indicators, like if someone is poisoned, blinded, deafened, grappled, etc.?
Yes, I just revived that branch yesterday, and just to see where things are at. And it was pretty far along when I left it, as far as like having icons to represent the things, and then also trying to fill in what I had as like a starting goal for the different types of effects. One of the things I remember leaving it as was just like the effect part of those things was built with some like with sticks and duct tape. It felt like, because it was really prone to breaking. So I wanted to form a shell around it that was like more robust, so that we make sure that the effects don't stick around and that they exit out quick as they should, and things like that. Reason why it's a little bit more complicated is because it runs a lot of logic and different logic on each effect. So I just need to make sure that like all of that stuff gets cleaned up properly, and it uses the Unity timeline package to sort of like set up their effects. And there's a lot of custom actions on that timeline, which also has a lot of quirks in it. So that's where I'm at. But having said that, it is one of those one of the features that I'm actively working on right now. So it's going to be fonts, and then it's going to be that one that I've been looking at. There are some other branches, as I mentioned. I've redone the campaign screen, for instance, and then I pretty much had that done. And then I realized while I was gone, there was obviously a ton of stuff done on seats, and there was a ton of elements there that I was unaware of. And like Chris did so much work on UI during that period of time to like get all of that stuff working. And there's a lot of variance on that, and I sort of ended up hanging there a little bit because I had to take on something else. So that's another one of those branches that's laying there. But that one will come after this. So status effect is going to be one of my focus going forward. So that's the news on that.
All right. Trenchbolt asks, would it be difficult to add teleport functionality to multiple minis selected at the same time?
I don't know the difficulty, but it would be cool. I'd like to do it. There would be, yeah, it would be interesting if you get what. I mean, it's probably going to be fine if you're using it in wide open spaces. It's going to be interesting if you try and take it into somewhere cramped, because, like, if we're maintaining those, like the teleport really would maintain those distances apart from each other, because you're just passing through everything, so you wouldn't be forming around objects. Which means if it would be quite easy to place them in a way that would clip them through walls into other rooms and stuff like that. But used in the right scenario, yeah, I'm sure that would be fine. I don't think we would need any extra code. So, oh yeah, something to look at. Yeah, there's probably a feature request for that already.
Yeah, if not, there probably should be. I should say that the thing that I did for the teleportation thing is slow, so we probably would have to look at instancing meshes a different way, because at the moment I think I just copy like a game object, and just because you're just doing it for 1 minute at a time. You would be doing this for multiple things, so like why make it fast? And also like it's been a while since that was implemented, so that might have to be done at the same time, but that also doesn't seem like it's a massive undertaking. So great feature request. If there's not one there, then please make one.
Okay. Lemurian Settler asks, colored and bright floor tiles soon? We seem to have an abundance of dark, gray, and brown tiles now. Bright and interesting floors do so much for defining rooms, let alone maps.
True that.
Unfortunately, not in the upcoming set.
Like dirt.
Yeah. So yeah, I get you, 100%. More colorful. In fact, I think I saw you post something on the Discord channel about that, and I was like, that's a good call right there. So typically we're like, I was thinking, hey, let the modern sets deal with that, but there's color everywhere, man. And I will keep that in mind going forward. And even if that means expanding some current sets with more kind of like carpet tiles, kind of like what we have in or different types of tile tiles, however you want to say. Yeah. So good call there. You're right. There's too much brown gray. It's just like not Fallout. It's Tailspire. We want to be colorful, and it's true. To denote floors easier and things like that. So, yeah, absolutely.
The Marines adds my kingdom for more carpets.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems like at least adding accents for sets would probably be a good idea there as well, because it's like making colorful things is it's easier things usually blend together really well when it's like gray and browns and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, I absolutely see that point, and sounds like a good idea to do.
Okay. Trenchbolt asks, a while back we were talking about how hide plane doesn't hide the hide volumes at different heights on the slider, making it difficult to see hide zones in the middle of layers of hide zones. This was something that was going to be looked at a while back. Any chance it could be fixed at some point? It's so hard to deal with hide volumes that are on maps with multiple floors.
You are so right. Yeah, I'm surprised actually that one didn't get looked at the last time I was doing hide volume stuff. But yeah, like that needs to that so needs to be done. Yeah, that was really frustrating.
Hide plane hiding hide volumes. I'm making a internal task for this because that was meant to be looked at, but I probably didn't make a task for it. So there.
Okay. Lemurian Settler asks, is there a feature request for a system where you can see all of your hide volumes in a list? Imagine naming and accessing hide volumes like you access boards. That would make turning on and off lights faster, not to mention revealing rooms.
I think we'd only be able to include ones on the list that had names, because otherwise that list is going to be nightmarish. Yeah. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. We would need something. Well, we need that anyway, so it's kind of moot. But yeah, the ability to either have more interesting shaped hide volumes or ways of fusing them together or whatever. Probably more interesting shapes, because when you start fusing them, problems. But yes, yeah.
Yeah, we do have to look at like hide volumes in general. They were one of those features that felt a little bit rushed because we felt, yeah, we definitely needed something, and then yes, so it's I can, with what's being said there, with like having almost like a type of layer system or list or something like that, I can see some paths there that could be interesting if we also changed how hide volumes work. Not a satisfying answer, but yeah, that's where it's a lot of thoughts going around at the moment.
Trenchbolt asks, any new news about the potential of Fog of War?
No new news. No, that's the short version.
Yeah.
Okay. Trenchbolt asks, would it be possible to lock a measurement sphere / cube, etc. to a mini? For characters that have things like spirit guardians that affect an area, it would be great to have a sphere that moves with the mini.
Right. So we'll be doing that with rulers. Like being able to have rulers that are attached to creatures was a list thing from a while ago that I think we agreed to. But yes, I would. I'm sure you could cobble something out of that. Like, it would be good for seeing the area of your spirit garden and stuff like this. I wouldn't want to represent it with that, because that just feels a bit hacky. But yeah, if that would cover it, then yes, rulers on minis.
Okay. Lemurian Settlers asks, which set will come first? Dwarven Kingdom, Elven Haven, or Ancient Desert Temple? Totally made up those names.
I mean, if I have anything to do with it, man, I'd like to do the Dwarven Kingdom first. Yeah, I'd like to get that created, because I got some ideas for, like, some adventures I want to run these guys through. And then maybe the Elven Haven, and then, well, actually, exactly, like, yeah, in order of how you listed them.
All right. JAO7SJ asks, would frame generation as in NVIDIA's DLSS4 work in Tailspire? I have a few complex maps that can bring a high-end CPU and GPU frame rates into the 20s and 30s, and anything that could improve performance would be appreciated.
Yeah, so I'll start off saying, yeah, performance definitely needs to be looked at. There's so much more we can do there, but it's a task. I think, like, we haven't got any plans to add those support for those things, but I think they could almost be a good candidate in that, like, we don't have generally rapid movements, so it could be a thing that I think would handle that quite well. But yeah, that's been the limit of my thoughts on it. I've kind of I'm not a deep lover of, like, frame generation stuff anyway, but I can definitely see the desire for those things.
Adding
Yeah,
on,
I guess
we
would have to.
Sorry?
Yeah, you go for it. Sorry.
Mine
You're right.
unrelated to this question.
Okay, in that case, I would say that yeah, I haven't looked at recently how easy these are to implement with Unity stuff. I know that they came, it like the newer rendering, like the HC rendering pipeline and stuff like that, came with an update saying that okay, now that's basically just there by default. So that's the thing we would have to look into. If it turns out that it's a pretty easy thing to do now, then yeah, then that would be more likely to happen, I think.
Unrelated to this question, but the last question, Monophos brings up in chat that Circus was mentioned from a poll last year. Circus Set.
Really?
Tell us.
Oh man.
I do remember talk of at least like game carts and stuff like that from a while back.
Okay.
Like
Was there
fair
really a
stuff.
poll? Oh my goodness. If there was, oh boy.
I mean, I think I've even seen some previews of some assets that are like in that ballpark at least.
Okay. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Circus stuff would be cool, man. I know Rach actually. Oh, Rach was thinking about working on some stuff with that, and she may have some some things done. I was thinking like, okay, how would we do? Man, like if we're going circus, we got to do like a Ferris wheel, and how the hell are we gonna do a Ferris wheel? You know. Yeah, and like yeah, so I've been thinking about little things like that, like the circus, the fairgrounds, things like that would be awesome. Yeah, the Feywild, right? You know, so yeah, that's something to think about. That would be super fun to work on. Honestly, that would be super fun to work on. I would love that, and not only that, but like I mean, yeah, like modern stuff too. You know, like an old arcade. Yeah, like like imagine making arcade machines with like dude, because you know we have those TV screens with the stuff we can. Yeah, oh, too much fun with those things. So yeah, circus and fairgrounds absolutely is a thing that we're gonna have to do. In fact, I mean, we have like Jonny said, we have some things that we've done already. They're just kind of like sitting and waiting right now. We'll have to revisit those things.
Yeah, sometimes we'll make assets that don't quite fit into a set that we're working on and stuff like that, and then it sort of gets put aside.
Yeah.
And then hopefully finds a home in a future set.
Yeah.
Sending the clown.
All right. Roll Mobile asks, "Hello, nice to see you again. My question is, can we
Hello.
add a favorites bar to player mode? That is, so players can save their dice, attack formulas, damage, abilities, etc., and any models they've assigned, familiars, companions, savage form, etc. Currently, only the GM mode has this option at the bottom of the screen."
Yes. That's part of the inventories feature, and you will all get them, which opens up some really interesting things. It's really cool.
All right. Dylan the Cripple asks, ramp style?
Yeah, ramps.
Yep. We've talked about them.
it's,
I think they've been talked about
yeah,
a few
yeah.
times.
Oh yeah,
Banter stuff.
Ramps.
Yeah, ramps.
I'm
Right, of course.
writing those down again here because yeah, that seemed like a thing we could do, right?
Yes.
Accessibility, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I don't know why ramps just freak me out for some reason. I don't know why that's the case, but like when we're talking about like creating them for Tailspire as like tiles, they shouldn't, and we just need to do them. It's simple as that. Just need to do them. So
yeah, ramps and free roofs.
I don't know. Maybe there'll be like a little ramp pack. Sweet ramp, dude.
Yeah, we got to get a skater in if we're doing that.
Yeah.
The OSHA compliant pack.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, that's actually probably going to be the most likely answer. Is that we just have to make a dedicated pack with ramps in them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
All right. Lucian V Ghost asked, thoughts on adding the ability to tint tile sets to turn the marble set into black or rose marble, for example.
Yeah, the way that I answered this last time was that tinting, no, but I'm not adverse to the idea of having like tile variants. So basically, swapping out like the diffuse texture with something that we've made. Yeah, I haven't gotten any further than that. But the differences are that to be able to do tinting, there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen on various different systems. To be able to do a tile variant, that's literally just a different tile with a texture on it. So technically, that's a lot easier to do. We can also share a lot of the memory data there because it's, for instance, one texture that needs to change. Not seeing this happening anytime soon, probably. But yeah, that's sort of where I ended before. Yeah.
All right. Amen Arthas asks, is there a particular reason why when players hold tab, they don't see the grid that GMs get in GM Vision? It'd help out a lot in grid-based game systems.
Yeah, so the reason why is that I never... Okay, so there's two parts to this. The first one being that, to me, it was always a visual effect and never a practical thing. When you held down, like, oh, okay, it's a thing that you're sort of seeing here in GM mode. And the reason why I've been really hesitant to put it into any other form other than just the visual part is because I don't feel like the grid looks very good. The reason why it doesn't look very good is because it's a purely post-processing effect that utilizes like the normals of the surface that it's on, which means that if we have a very detailed surface, it will look really messy. So in my head, I was always thinking, okay, if we're going to do a grid, we probably have to project like new planes down somehow and sort of like draw them out where they look properly nice and gridified. And I haven't gotten any further with that thought. Having said that, though, like that's the reason. So seeing that you asked for it, the reason. As far as whether or not it could happen, I'll have to look at the effect again, I think, but I don't like that particular effect. I can't make look any better, so it would have to be some other way of handling grids, and I'm not I haven't thought enough to know what that would be. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Jason Blob brings up in chat, I think I agree that it doesn't look great, but we shouldn't make perfection an enemy of just a step in the right direction for players to help with grid system.
Yeah, I'm I'm very terrible at that as far as that's concerned. I have come around to more of that idea of like, yeah, maybe sometimes we just have to forgo that part. I promise I'll look at it. Like I'll look at the effect, maybe tweak some parameters, see if it makes sense, because I do agree with that statement.
Though I do want to share the kind of the one in the the one that pushes back in the opposite direction of just like I got educated because I'm very much in that perfection enemy of good and all that, and just get something in and just make progress kind of mindset. I did have to learn over time that if you just keep on piling good enough, eventually you turn on your game and it's just kind of shit everywhere. And that's something it's tough. It's tough. There's no perfect answer. But cool.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Roll Moville asks, I know there are other things to do before this, but is there anything, even a very basic, that could be done regarding automatic initiative? That is, when turn mode is activated, would the first die each player rolls be automatically added? Anything would speed up games a lot. Right now, doing everything manual is very time consuming.
Yeah, it becomes a question of like systems and things like that as well. What determines initiative? For like D&D, that's fine. Like we have a way of doing that. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had for sure. I was also earlier today thinking about expanding the initiative stuff, because I was reading through the the requests, and one of the things was like turn counters. And that's one of those things that I've been thinking about as far as like, okay, so what is a turn? And we could say that, oh, it's when all of the characters have gone once, basically when you rotate it. But at the moment, we also don't have any considerations for what if a creature can move multiple times in a turn, or there's other stuff that's supposed to happen in a turn. What if the turns aren't the same? Meaning that in one turn, like some creature don't move every turn, but like every other turn. And I have this thing in my mind where you would have like this list, and you would have all of these basic icons you could drag out, and then you would put in a icon representing a turn, so that you could have, this is everything that's going to loop, but then you could also have, obviously, creatures can appear multiple times in that list, and then that rotates again, but within that rotation there could be multiple turns. So I've started to write a document down for like how I'd imagine this looking and working, and within that, it sounds like we should talk about this thing of automatic initiative, because there's obviously saying that, okay, we are system agnostic, so we don't know what the system might be. But we could also argue that, okay, well, let's at least have a default implementation where people can choose to do that. And that's a conversation I would have to have with everyone, to see whether or not something like that makes sense. There could also be other ways of streamlining it, potentially. So that's where we're at with the, like, at least I'm at it with the inventory system. Sorry, Uriah.
You're fine. Tretchbolt threw out in chat, also one of the things that wasn't mentioned is assigning counters so that they can know when abilities run out.
Yes, and counters was like another thing that came to mind when I started to write down about the inventory, not the inventory, the initiative system, but not only inside of the initiative system, because there's also other cases where we might want counters just to stay on screen, maybe potentially, but these were just ideas that were running through my head when I started to think about that particular request again. So I don't know when any of that stuff will be worked on, but it's at least documentation is starting to come together now as far as like what we feel is needed in that space, and hopefully we can iterate a little bit on that and then capture a lot of these requirements.
All right. The Penguin of Dooms asks, thank you so much for the view distance limit. What upcoming feature are you most excited for?
That's a good question. I haven't had a good think about. Yeah, that for a while, actually.
Well, I'm going to say that the one that I'm most excited about, which is something that I still haven't like dared to show off, is the stuff being done on terrains. It's just, yeah, that's really exciting, because for the when I did work on that the previous time, I finally started to see a path to like where this need to go and like how we could achieve this, which is incredibly exciting. And I would show it off what we have, but I'm just worried that it would look like a promise, and also confusion around tooling and stuff like that, because it doesn't look the part yet. It's just, yeah, but it's really cool. So that's probably off the top of my head the most exciting thing, just because it's a thing that I'm just really going to come back working on.
I'm naturally excited to get particles in the hands of the art team, but that's going to be a while before there's a lot of things that have to happen even after and before we start getting that landing. I think inventories, for what they mean mechanically for the game, are really interesting. That goes in the direction of something I've really wanted to see but then yeah, I think Symbiote for the potential of what we can do with some of that stuff is, I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think inventories maybe.
For me, it's things we've talked about working on. I mean, the dice engine. Super excited about dice stuff. Can't wait to have more dice tools. And then things we've just talked about nebulously, like wanting to do is hide volume improvements. It's probably those two systems are my most used systems when I play. So I'm very eager to see improvements there.
Jason.
Yeah, man. What was the question? No, I'm just yeah, no. The character creator is I'm gonna just stick with that because, in my opinion, for as an artist, like you make one helmet, there's so much fucking value to that helmet. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just plopping it on a random goblin mini and then it's like, yeah, I can't wait to like work on the art for the character system. All the pieces, the weapons, the armor, the weird little things that we can put on the bases and things like it's going to be really interesting to work on that. A challenge, a really neat challenge.
Yep.
All right. JAO7SJ asks, will light rendering ever change so that light doesn't bleed through solid tiles and floors? It seems like it was a bug or technical limitation to start off with, but now it seems a lot like maps use it for atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely a technical limitation. I guess, yeah, it's one of those reasons why I've sometimes in the past tried to push for updating to more recent versions of Unity because that opens up an easier path to doing what's called cached shadow maps, which allows you to render out a shadow map and just keep that map around, utilizing it for the shadow rendering, which means that you would get a lot less of this stuff. We could also go a little bit more extreme with like light distance and things like that. If we are able to get to that, which I really hope that we are someday, then we would probably have to do like a versioned update of this, because basically enabling that as a function, having it enabled by default on lights, but then also allowing you to enable it on stuff, because people have been using this for atmosphere. We can't ruin all of these maps that have nice glowing things inside of them.
Yeah, as long as we can turn it on and off, we can have the default for the older boards be you opt into it, and the for the new boards opt out.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and but that's one of my main reasons when it comes to like this perfectionism thing. This hasn't been more work done on light placements and light scaling and all of that, because I really dislike the look of lights bleeding through, and the bigger we make them, the more grievous the problem. Yeah, so I've been a bit of a stickler there, and yeah, once again, I've been softening up in some of those areas, but well, yeah. So that's where we're at with that. I do hope sometime in the future we can get rid of that limitation. There was actually a project that I saw. This was like right before we went to Canada, I think. I posted it where someone's done cache shadow maps in the standard renderer. But it's an old project, and I don't know whether or not it would work well with all of the instancing and stuff that we're doing. But that could be an interesting weekend project at one point to see what that is. Yeah, just a random thought that came out.
This is again also random thoughts on this subject. Yeah, I just want to apologize. I've been talking before about like fixes that we'd done to scripting, which would allow us to turn on and off lights. I thought all that stuff had landed, and I thought I got it all right, but there's still some stinkers out there that I obviously haven't. So that hasn't happened yet. I've got to revisit that bug again, which sucks, and find out what's going on. So sorry that hasn't happened sooner.
As a note, before we move on to the next question, after this next question, I will be shutting down the question bot. So get your questions in now while the question bot is still on. For our next one is from Zorum24 asks, is there an ETA on TitanCraft integration / support?
Yeah, all of us want it to be soon. Yeah, as soon as we can. There's been things that have just been taking up the time, but yeah, it's ready for some heavier testing, and then we can finalize things and some other fixes I need to do for server side stuff.
Okay. Our next question is from The Last Heath, who asks, is there an anticipated date for 1.0 release?
No. There's there are some major features that we need to put in place before 1.0, and that's not counting all of the quote unquote onboarding, as you would say in the software world, where we make it more accessible for people to just get in and play. Some of them mentioned like the terrain system and also like the character creator. All of these things were promises that we made, and also things that we're excited about, and also some rules implementation, etc. Is sort of gating that a little bit, and we don't know exactly. Personally, I feel like now that like I'm properly back and actually can start planning things, we'll also be sitting down and laying down some plans, I think, on different features and see whether or not we can at least internally see where we're at for meeting that.
Okay. The Penguin of Dooms asks, could there be a way to increase the size of tile sets / doors, etc.?
As in like tiled scaling, is that the question? Or
I assume so.
We're talking more gradular, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just sort of like said that in the past at least that that's not something we're going to be doing, and also it's actually a lot of technical issues, especially with tiles and doors and things like that, associated with the scaling, and also like props and things don't look that great when they're scaled, so that's another consideration. But so it's not something we're planning on doing, I guess, is the answer.
Okay. And our last question is from Lemurian Settler, who asks, is it heresy to suggest merging sets in the menu to help reduce scrolling? Cobblestone, sewers, library, and merchant could all live under urban and reduce the amount of scrolling. Modern chest plus modern containers, merchant plus military, road plus vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's it's again, great question, and it's something I think that once we get the tag system in place, we're basically settled on, like, okay, this is 1.0's content right here, official content. Now, what do we do? How do we organize it? Right now it is kind of the Wild West on how we, our approach. And yeah, I mean, it's getting kind of ridiculous when you're just, scrolling through so much. But, when you have so much content, what do you do? So yeah, it's a great question. I think there's something that probably we're just going to revisit as we flesh everything out more, see what we're going to be working with. Combinations make sense. Combining things do make sense. But then, now you're going to be scrolling through, all the assets inside of those folder. I mean, yeah, things are growing, and you're either going to grow a list vertically or horizontally, So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could come back a little bit to what we're talking about when we were on the subject of tagging, as far as like making these things a little bit more fluid.
Yeah.
But I saw that I made this script. I think it was a couple of months ago, where I just placed out, like, automatically placed out every so like tile and prop in the menus, and I absolutely saw that there were ones that didn't really have a right to a feature, a folder of their own, probably.
Right.
And then you had things that were like, okay, I couldn't even see, it just clipped outside of the edge of the camera type of thing, which were folders that probably could benefit to being at least sort of like split up into two. So not, I wouldn't say it's heresy at all.
No,
It's
not
a
at all.
very sensible topic.
100%.
All right. That about wraps up our bi-monthly banter for this month. So is there any more before we close out for today?
Well, go for it.
Well, I was just gonna wanted to thank you all for coming. Thank the mods on Tailspire Discord. You guys are amazing, and you know, yeah, some of the best out there. So
absolutely. And in that case, I'll thank the rest of the team that's not here, because they're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being here. It's heartening.
See you in a couple of months.
Yep. Thank you all for showing up. Keep on the lookout for all of our news and updates on our Discord and our socials. Whenever the next banter is coming around, I'll be shouting it out again. Thank you all for showing up, and we'll see you next time.
Peace, folks. Bye.
Bye-bye.